Now it's time to install this beast into this beast.
Ah, that's not nice.
DC power inlet, outlet, inlet. Just plop. Today we are going to install the Akrapovic full exhaust on the Ninja 650. Now, as you can see, the bike is ready to go. It is up on the swing arm lift. Now, according to Akrapovic, we do not have to move any fairings or remove the lower cowl. And also, according to them, this job should take about an hour. We'll see about that. Okay, even though the instructions say to start with the nuts on the pipe, I'm going to start here by taking off the shifter. And I'm using a 6mm T wrench. Now we got that off. Make sure you don't lose anything. We are going to gently rest that for the moment. Now I have to remove the 4 nuts off of the flanges to remove the exhaust. And I'm using a 12mm socket and a ratchet. You can see I have removed 2 of the nuts, and the other 2 nuts are just there to hold the flange and the pipe in place for the moment until we get down and work on the bracket. And then when we're ready to take the pipe out, these will be taken off. It's time to remove the bolt from the bracket that holds up the muffler. Now, in the instructions, this is the point where you would remove your shifter. I did that in the beginning just because I could. So as you see here, after you remove the shifter, you can see there is the bolt. So at this point, you would use a 12mm socket and a 12mm open wrench to undo the bolt. Now, just as a little tip, guys, when you're working on a motorcycle, it is real easy to round off the edges. So you want to make sure that you use a 6-point socket, so not to round off the edges. It's very important. So if you don't have a 6-point socket set, go out and get yourself one. You'll thank me later. So now I'm going to remove the bolt from the bracket and get ready to remove the exhaust. Before you remove the bolt from the bracket for the muffler, you want to use a jack or something, scissor jack, something to hold up the muffler so it doesn't drop to the ground, because that would be a really bad thing to do. All right, just a little tip, guys. All right, so now that we got the jack up and we got the muffler stabilized, now we can remove the bolt from the bracket. Another little tip, guys, that you might want to do to protect the back of the front fender is, here I use duct tape. You can use whatever you want, carb or whatever, for when you pull the pipes out, so you do not scratch or mess up the back part of the front fender. Also, another little tip, I haven't done it yet, I might do it, and that's putting cardboard over the radiator. I haven't done it, I don't know if I'm going to do it. I will let you guys know whether I did or I didn't. Right, after you get the bolt out of the muffler bracket and you lower it down a little bit, now it's time to undo the oxygen sensor. So I have a little trick here. A lot of people go up, they follow the wire, and they unhook it so not to damage the wire. So what I do is I don't unplug it. What I do is I take a marker and I mark on the oxygen sensor, and then I take my 17mm wrench and I break it loose. And then what I do is I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I hold on to the sensor. I know my big fingers are in the way. And then now what I do is I count backwards going the other way. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I let it go. That way you don't mess up the wires and get them all twisted. You know, it might be hard to understand, but it's actually pretty easy than trying to go up, take off fairings or whatever to unplug the oxygen sensor. So just remember to mark the oxygen sensor, count the revolutions when unscrewing it, hold on to it, and then count it the other way, and you should be fine. And then the same process when you put it back in. I don't know how many revolutions it'll take to go back into the new exhaust, but my starting point is 6. And now the exhaust is out. Now I didn't show you guys how we took the exhaust out. I'll just tell you, if you're doing it by yourself, it's gonna be fun. Try to get a helper. But anyway, the exhaust is out, and now it's time to install the new exhaust. Now it's time to install this beast. All right guys, now that you have your new exhaust gaskets, you want to get yourself some grease, and you want to grease up the exhaust gaskets so that when you put them into the exhaust ports, they'll hold up in there and they won't fall out. Okay, we have the header pipe with mid pipe up into the exhaust ports, and the nuts are hand tightened as it describes in the instruction book. I didn't show this, guys, because as you can see, it's a real tight fit, and it's just too hard to do that and, you know, have a camera in here. So this is the beginning of the installation of the new exhaust. When you're putting the spring up onto the flanges of the exhaust header pipe, to keep this part from sliding down as you're trying to hook it in, take a toothpick, hold it up, stick it in down as far as you can get it, jam it in there, and then break it off. And that way this will keep this up, and you won't have to keep fighting with it falling down. Okay, sorry I haven't showed you guys much. As you can see, it is tight in here, and in order, as you see, to get my hands on the camera, it's too much. But we have the flange nuts hand tightened, and I showed you a trick with the springs where you put the toothpick in. Another alternative is to, before you put the flange on and tighten up the nuts, you can put the spring on the flange first, then tighten up the nuts, and then pull it down to here. So this is where we are at this point. We got the springs on, we have the nuts hand tightened, and now I'm going to work with the muffler, which I don't know how much I'm going to show you, if anything. So yeah, that's where we are at this point. All right, so now I got the oxygen sensor into the new pipe, but just a little, and I didn't show it again, it's kind of hard to have a camera and work at the same time, but just as a little FYI, we had to, hopefully you can see this, reroute the wire over by this bracket and come under. And it's a little tight and a little snug, but it does work. So you just might have to rewire, come in, because it usually comes on this side. You can see my finger. And we had to bring it over to this side of this bracket right here. So just another little tip, guys. And now we have the oxygen sensor on. So next is moving on to the muffler. Alright guys, I have the muffler on. I have the new bracket, which is right here. Sorry I didn't show it. It's hot. I'm tired. Hubby's tired. Ready to kill each other. But you end up with this bracket here that comes with the muffler. There's 4 bolts. You'd screw them down in, tighten them, and that's the new bracket. And then you attach it up to this bracket in the bike. We've done that. We also put the springs on between the mid pipe and the muffler. Not too bad. It was pretty easy. So we have these bolts torqued down. Now we just have to torque down the header bolts, and I have to put back on my my shifter, and then we'll be done. All right, just to let you guys know, this bolt right here that comes with the exhaust system to go into the bracket and the bracket on the motorcycle is a 13 millimeter socket. This one that came stock was 12 millimeter. So just to let you guys know, that's a 13 millimeter bolt. So, and you need a 13 millimeter socket. Guys, I also used this tool right here. It's called a spring tool, you know, and it helps you when you have to pull the springs back, you know, and get them hooked up. Another important little tip is when you're playing with these springs and you're using the spring tool to pull it back, make sure you're wearing some kind of eye protection, safety glasses. A lot of people have lost a lot of eyes. If it slips and it falls, it can boom pretty good. So just make sure you guys, you know, use the tool, and also make sure you wear some type of safety glasses. Okay, so now I got the header bolts torqued out. They're tightened, so now I'm putting back on the shifter. Again, get your 6 millimeter T-wrench and just tighten it up. Well, we are done. The exhaust is installed. Sorry guys that I didn't show you a lot. It's kind of hard to work with a camera in small spaces at the same time you're trying to do things, but hopefully I got a lot of the stuff in there for you. It's hot. It's 80 something degrees. It's humid, and I think hubby and I both have had enough. But let's start her up and see what she sounds like. Well, there you go, guys. That's with the silencer in. I did not do the silencer out. I think I'll keep that in. Maybe in the future, I'll see. But for right now, that's how it's going to stay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, sorry I didn't show you much. I tried to show you after the fact. Again, hot, tired. And I will have to say, it has been 2 hours and 45 minutes. So Akrapovic lied. But then again, they're professionals. I'm not. So till next time, guys, remember, ride safe. And it's not about the destination. It's about the ride. See ya. I leave you alone for 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
And look what you do.
I know.
5 minutes, I leave you alone.
Up.